One of the biggest questions that business owners have when they're looking to hire their first employee or their first virtual assistant is, how am I going to find someone who is trustworthy? Are you having that question? Have you thought about that? Well, welcome to the Build Your Team Show. I am your host, Atiba, and here we get together and talk all about how to build highly productive and effective teams to help grow and scale your business, because it's time for that to happen, isn't it? So, this is a really, really big question. How do you find someone who is trustworthy to join your team? Well, the answer is simple, and it's not so simple. It's one of those kind of weird, complicated things. So number one, in order to hire someone who's trustworthy, you must first be trustworthy, my friend. I know that seems kind of cliche or kind of silly or what have you, but it's so often that we want qualities in other people that we aren't willing to embody ourselves. And if you're not willing to be a trustworthy person, one, to your staff, two, to your customers, and three, to yourself, then there is no reason why you should think you can hire someone who's going to be trustworthy to you. You know, there's an old adage in staff and employee management, and it says that your team will do as much as you do and less. They will do as much as you do and less, not more. And so many of us hire our team wanting them to do more than we do, more than we're willing to give to our business. And that's just not realistic. So if you're looking for someone who is trustworthy, then the first thing that you have to do is you have to become a trustworthy manager and a trustworthy boss. Okay, so if you've covered that, great. If you believe that you are a trustworthy person, fantastic. So let me give you the next caveat. If you start hiring people and they're not trustworthy, the first place you need to look is, what am I doing that's not trustworthy, that's rubbing off on them? It comes back to you. It comes back to you. The very next thing in terms of finding a trustworthy person is it all starts with the job description that you write. If you put out there, hiring a virtual assistant, someone who can do Excel and this and this and this, apply. Well, you'll get a whole bunch of people who apply. You will. A whole bunch of people who apply, and you'll have no idea who they are and or how trustworthy they are. However, if you write a job description and you talk about, okay, this is the position, yes, but let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about the company. Let me tell you about what we value. Again, getting back to trustworthiness. Let me tell you about some of the things that we value here. Number one, the people who don't value what you value won't apply. More times than not. They won't apply. Because if they do, they'll know that they're violating your values and thereby your trust. And so that right there helps to weed people out. So that's the first thing in your job, this description that you put out there. The next thing is ask them questions in the job description for them to reply to so that you can get to know them. Okay? Ask them about what they love. One of the questions that I ask all the time is, what don't you love? Tell me about the things that annoy you. Tell me about the parts of your job that you hate to do. Tell me about the parts of your life that just get on your nerves. Because I want to see what type of person they are. I want to see if they're willing to share, because that's something that I value. You may not, and that's okay. But the point is, ask questions that will get answers that tell you more about them, and so that you can figure out what they value as well. Now, I want you to understand, this is the job description, right? This is the job description that you're going to write and you're going to put out there. That will weed out so many untrustworthy untrustworthy people. After that comes the actual process of taking them through the interview process. So there may be back and forths on email for people who responded to the job post, right? And in every email, ask them questions about themselves. They would have told you a little bit more about themselves in the previous email. Ask them something that will keep them telling you more about themselves so you can continue to learn. I like that when I do a Zoom interview or in person, when I have those in-person interviews, by the time we get to Zoom or by the time we get to in-person, I already know who you are. And this is your opportunity to prove to me that what I saw on paper is who you actually are. That's what I'm looking for, because I've spent and I've asked you enough questions that I feel like I have a really good picture of who this person is as a person and how they're going to fit on our team. So very key, very crucial, that process after they respond to your job post, that you ask them questions along that way and get to know them. So that by the time you get to, and this is the third part now, by the time you get to the actual face-to-face, whether it's on Zoom or in person, by the time you get there, they've got to work really hard to prove to you that they don't belong. That they don't belong because you've gotten to know them. Now, will some people still show up and surprise you? Yeah, it happens to me all the time. And then I say, woof, glad we caught that one. And that's okay. And in my in-person or over Zoom interview, I'm going to ask them similar questions to what I asked them in our back and forth email communication. Few reasons. One, I want to see how you communicate. I want to see, can you communicate? Or did I ask a question and then you went and shopped the answer around and came back and gave me a beautifully wordsmithed answer so it looked good on paper? Is that what you did? So I want to see you communicate. And then number two, which doesn't happen nearly as often, is you find the people who lie because they told you one thing in the back and forth emails, and then they tell you another thing in person. I did have an experience with this where one young lady, we were looking to hire her to do graphic design, and so we give people test projects for the graphic design. And up front, she said it was going to be X number of hours in order to do the test project, which we were fine with. Then when we turned around, sorry, I'm telling that story wrong. Hold on, back up. I'm telling that story wrong. What we did was we sent her a design and said, hey, how long would it take you to create this design if we gave you X, Y, and Z? And she came back and she gave us a number. And then we said, great. So here is X, Y, and Z for a different project. How long is it going to take you to do this design? And her response, she tripled her estimate. So my question to her was, why? Why did you change? She couldn't answer. We didn't hire her. We saved that time. We ended up hiring the right person who was an absolute wonderful fit for the company. But my point there, guys, is that's why I will ask similar questions in the in-person or over Zoom interview as I do that I did in the email process back and forth. I want to see who you really are. You're going to give me the same answer, and can you communicate well? Can you communicate well? So these are some of my tips, okay? And really, they fall into two really big categories. The first one is, if you want to hire someone trustworthy, you've got to be trustworthy. You've got to be trustworthy to your staff. You've got to be trustworthy to your clients, and you have to be trustworthy to yourself, okay? You have to prove that you are trustworthy. That's number one. And then number two, it's all about your job description and that process that you take them through in the application process and the interview process of getting to know them. Get to know them, not only their skill level. get to know who they are. As I say all the time, hire for first. That's not what I say all the time. Hire for fit first. Hire for fit first. Skill second. Skill second. All right, everybody. Hope you were able to find this a little bit helpful. And if you are looking for employees and you're trying to hire and you're trying to figure out this trustworthiness, this is the way to go. If you've got questions, drop them down below. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. All right, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.